Any civilization is peculiar because of the nature where this or that civilization develops, and because of its history. The Russian development is determined by such a factor as vast territories that Russians have had to explore and settle. These vast territories predetermined an extensive way of development. If you look into our textbooks, they say that Russian feudalism and capitalism were extending more broadwise rather than depthward. That means that none of these systems has left any serious mark on the Russian history, and the Russian lifestyle is a much more serious thing than all kinds of feudalisms and capitalisms. Another thing is that Russia does not actually have natural borders. We are open from south, east and west, and that is why we have always tried to push the borders away as far as possible. In this regard, Sir Arnold Toynbee was quite right saying that Russian expansion is always defensive. There is another very important factor in our history. Our state power is very different from those in the West and East. This was determined historically, that in our history the state power is overarching and it stands above the law and church. It does not mean that the state power puts oppression on people, but it means that the state power was very important, firstly to mobilize people in order to resist permanent military invasions from our neighbors, and secondly to explore and settle the vast territories. Moreover, our Orthodox faith is very naturally interweaved with the Vedic religion, which was prior to Christianity. Up to the middle of the 17th century, there had not been such a formula, servant of God. People would say youth of God, and it came from the Vedic religion, which said that we carol our gods, and the gods are our afterlivers. Now it has gone. We're very different from Catholic or Protestant West, from Islam, and from Far East. Across a whole range of parameters, East and West are closer to each other than to Russia. They are alike, most of all, in terms of how to organize the state power. The state power in the East and West is limited, be it China with its Oriental tyranny or France with its autocracy. Sovereignty presupposes unlimited power, but it does not mean travesty of justice. Sovereignty is placed on the top. The same thing could be seen in the Communistic Party of the Soviet Union, which was also above the law, but it did not mean iniquity, but a very strong subordination. East and West did not have it, let alone the fact that East and West show very highly productive agriculture. In England or India, the cropping power was almost twice as much as in Russia, so we had rather poor economic basis, which had to be compensated by something else. Besides, we have a very short period of agricultural work in the central part of Russia, from middle of May till middle of September. That formed a certain labor psychology, as in concentration of efforts within a short period of time, and then relaxation. A Western citizen considers it as sloth and uses it to its advantage when speaks about Russians. This is by no means sloth. This is a special labor rhythm, as in even in the labor rhythm we're different from West and East. And this psychology does not affect the behavior of a Russian person only in peaceful labor, but also in military actions. That is why, for example, Germans win most of the battles, but lose the battle of decision. Russians may lose as many battles as they please, but win the decisive battles. Some people say that Russia is something betwixt and between West and East. It's not. In accordance with a number of parameters, Russia contradicts West and East, and that is our historical peculiarity, which we have to fight for, because historical singularity creates the spirit of a nation.